We all know what it's like to be in the light. But who amongst us has really tread in the dark? Today, we do an inquiry into the very souls of the Don't Open That Door hosts. And who knows what we might find.
The following stories you are about to hear are real. They happen to real people. Us, we are real people. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to another Don't Open That Door horror hangout. You already know, it's Justin, Nico, and Dan. We're back again. How you guys doing today?
Good.
I'm scared.
Damn right you should be. Today's a very, very, very special episode where we're finally talking about it.
Ooh.
The haunted house that Dan and I lived in. We're going to take the story all the way from its innocent beginnings down to its downright devious end.
Okay, the alliteration. I see you.
We're going to go ahead and maybe talk about some other stories first. Maybe something supernatural has happened to one of us. We're going to lead with you, Dan. Has anything happened with you?
Yeah, so obviously, haunted house aside, I think my first experience, and well, really probably only aside from all that, with paranormal shit was back in middle school. I had
that's early.
Yeah. I was 8th grade, I think.
Yes.
My health PE teacher was a guy named Mr. Miller. Awesome guy.
And you and Jess went to the same middle school, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mr. Miller was, I think in his early, mid-30s maybe. He was pretty young.
He was really young.
I don't know, he just like really inspired me and just a really awesome teacher. So maybe half or 2/3 of the way through the school year, he passed away. He just never woke up. And it obviously really sucked. And back then I played baseball. So that following weekend, I had a baseball game. And at the beginning of the game, I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what, I'm going to sort of dedicate this game to Mr. Miller because he really inspired me. And I mean, I was still kind of pretty scrawny, skinny, but especially back then I was like really skinny and not at all physically fit or anything.
How tall were you back then?
I was like 6'4" or something.
Holy fucking 8th grade?
Yeah, I've been this tall for like, or almost this tall for a long time.
And how tall are you now for those of us who don't actually know each other in real life?
6'6". So
God,
I was
fucking
almost
damn.
my full height in 8th grade.
I
So
haven't even seen your final form yet.
not yet. So yeah, at the beginning of the game, I sort of dedicated it to him because he really helped inspire me in fitness kind of stuff. So throughout the game, just weird shit would happen that like never happens ever. Like there's one thing where like somebody got hit by the ball and the ump had never seen anything like that. The coaches had never seen it happen. The umpire, the ump. So they had to dig out the rule book and find some like ancient rule that is like never used. And it was just really weird. And then I got a triple play, like all by myself. Like I got 3 people out all by myself, which like is like unheard of. And just like a bunch of like weird coincidental stuff happened during that match that just by themselves never happened. And then all together, I was like, there's no way. And they were all positive for me and my team. And I was just like, there's no way this is a coincidence. This cannot possibly be a coincidence. So I am 100% convinced that Mr. Miller was watching down on that game. So definitely not like a scary haunting story or anything, but definitely something from beyond, I guess.
Casper the Friendly Ghost type shit.
Yeah.
That's comforting.
That is
feel like
comforting.
If you are going to hear about something, kind of supernatural, it's comforting to hear about something like that versus my story.
Oh.
But, before we kind of get into what I'm going to talk about, you hear that laughter comes from a real piece of work. So, Nico.
Yeah, what's up?
Anything supernatural ever happened to you before, bro?
Man, y'all already know that, no. The closest shit that's ever happened to me that has been super... Well, I guess you could say there's been a couple things that weren't supernatural, but were, like, adjacent to that whole experience. I remember when I was young, I was going to a funeral, and it was for my grandfather on my dad's side, and just after the eulogy, like, wind blew, and my mom was like, "That's your grandpa." I was like, no, it's fucking not. But the only other thing I can really think of that was, I guess, scary and unexpected was just, you remember when we were in undergrad and we were going for a drive somewhere and just out of fucking nowhere, Gene and Elle got into my car.
Wow.
That was haunting. Because no one fucking expected that. Remember, we were going to like unknown mall here, and two of our friends, we were just like driving around the parking lot, and two of our friends literally just like got in my car out of nowhere and was like, yo, what's good, motherfuckers, and just scared the shit out of us. But apart from that,
I was like, what's good, Joe?
yeah, okay, fuck you. Apart from that, like, nah, I'm ghost proof.
So I got a question for you. Since none of this shit has happened to you, do you believe in ghosts?
I am healthily skeptical enough. I'm not trying to fuck with shit if it's like clearly some sort of ominous setting. Like, you are never going to see me going into like, oh, this local attraction is the host of the Lizzie Borden murders or whatever. Like, no, fuck out of here. I'm not that white. I have a healthy respect for the supernatural, but I don't necessarily believe in it.
Okay. We'll try to convince you otherwise.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good. I'm just going to wake up with y'all like looming over my bed.
I mean, there was that one time in Dan's folks' basement.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. So this was this high school? I genuinely don't remember.
Yeah,
I
we
think
were
so, yeah.
we were still in our legendary band. So
Yeah, our our very legendary band. Yeah. So there was one night where we were finishing up band practice, playing some Mario Kart Double Dash, best Mario Kart. Don't fucking at me. And all of a sudden, like after winding down, we just heard a scream in the house, like somewhere upstairs. And Dan's parents were not in town. It was just the three of us. And so we all just sort of like looked at each other, and then Dan grabbed a bat and we Scooby-Dooed our happy asses around the house, making sure that there was absolutely nothing there. And thankfully, to our knowledge, there was nothing there.
All right, but is that kind of like, I guess, the closest you've come face to face with the unknown?
Yeah, no, I was really just sort of on the edge of it there. Never really came to any sort of like spooky climax.
True enough. I guess we should switch gears here, and it's time for my tale.
Your time to
Ooh.
shine.
Avid listeners of the podcast will know that I oftentimes speak about life, well, a different life, a place away from the lights. You know,
Devoid of light.
I've spent significant time in a place where,
The Shadow
you
Realm.
know,
The depths of darkness.
well, technology may not have been as advanced as it is here in the States. So,
Okay, you anime intro looking motherfucker. I spent time in the shadows where technology wasn't as advanced. I was away from the light. It had been many moons since I last saw my wife.
what I'm saying is, you know, like that's where you get, you know, that's where you get your superstitions from. And I grew up with all of that. You know, so I grew up with, up to this day, I wear a silver chain around my neck because silver, you know, repels ghosts and spirits.
Did you start wearing a silver necklace before or after you got into fisticuffs with a fucking poisonous frog?
During and before and after.
During
During
you
and
equipped
oh
it,
wow,
equipped it mid battle.
My man equipped it mid battle. He said, "Pause. Gotta get this materia right."
Growing up, you know, I'm obviously, in case you didn't know, proud Trinidadian descent. Growing up amongst all these legends, I was in Trinidad. I was on the island and, you know, in the little village where I was staying. And there was a woman up the road from me. I believe she might have been like a distant relative, friend of the family type thing. So she passed away. And I went to her house, you know, and we talked with, you know, her, I believe her daughter and whatever else like that. And everyone was just, you know, Trini Lyman. That's all we do. So we were doing that. And then I hear the story of my auntie Pop, and how she saw the dead lady, like her reflection in the mirror, right? So I was already kind of freaked out. So in order to use the bathroom, you had to walk. You had to like walk a distance. So I woke up one night and I'm like, I got to use the bathroom. Now, every every Trinidadian child knows that if you hear somebody call your name, you never say yes. That could be a spirit, that could be anything calling your name. I remember late one night, I had to use the bathroom. So I get up and I walk over to the bathroom, and it's a long walk. And just to give you guys the layout of where I was sleeping. So first off, this house had no windows. That's the first thing. So bats, animals would sometimes get in. Like we had a big gaping hole just in our living room, if you could picture that. So I saw somebody though, and next to the living room was a kind of dining room. And that's where they had, they had like a TV, and then you could walk across past the kitchen and finally make your way to the one bathroom. At the bathroom, I get there and someone's there. Like not in the bathroom, but like standing right next to it, kind of like in the kitchen. I can't make out who it is though. All I see is a shadow. And I was just remembering everything that they said was going on. And the shadow never moved. It just stood there. So then I go and I use the bathroom. Finish, do whatever I gotta do.
Go on.
I mean, really, I just had to take a piss real bad, y'all. Drinking a lot of water and stuff. It's hot over there. So turn off the light. The shadow's moving, but something seems wrong. Can't put my finger on it. So I go back to bed, and, my father is also up. So, he goes to use the bathroom too. And he goes and he runs back. And then my father whispers to my mother. I overhear them because I'm still awake. My father goes, "Don't tell Justin." And my mom's like, "What?" My father goes, "There's a shadow in the living room and it's dancing."
Oh, fuck.
And my mom goes, "Well, who is it?" And my father goes, "It has no head."
Oof.
And so, needless to say, so my dad, after that, he slept in the same room with me and my mom and my sister. The four of us all slept in the same room that night. My uncle actually slept in, he didn't know anything about it because we were staying with my uncle. So my uncle and my auntie and my cousins and them, they were sleeping in separate rooms for us. They woke up, we hear about it, everyone, like no one talks about it because you're not supposed to talk about these things too much either because it kind of, like invites too much when you talk about them too much.
Do you think that it is would say your sister is listening to this and hears you talking about this story? Is that something is that a no-no now that you've told us that? Or is there enough distance?
My sister wouldn't remember it. She was asleep and she was really young.
Well, okay, say just someone who was there, if they heard you talking about that, would this whole exchange be a no-no then? Or
no, I mean,
is
we
it
do
fine
talk.
now?
We do talk about that stuff, It's stuff that you talk about in well-lit rooms. And this is going to play into the story, our final kind of story. But these are the things you talk about in well-lit rooms with people of strong spiritual substance. It's a belief. And this actually plays into the next story we're going to tell, which is the big story, obviously. It's almost like some spirits are almost kind of like ambulance drivers, right? They're driving around looking for an injured person. Some people, whether they delve just too deep into the dark arts, they concern themselves with too much bad and evil. Or, for example, they are people who are just a little spiritually weak, like I was described to be when I was younger.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, what does that mean? You're more susceptible, or you don't have
Imagine it like an RPG and my resistance stat was just really low.
Oh yeah, that fits.
There are some people who, in Western culture, we might say they have a very big, reassuring presence when it fills the room. They're the kind of people, you commonly associate this with a religious figure, like a priest or something like that.
Sure.
Those are the kind of people you talk about those stories with. Certainly not when you're by yourself. Being in a house with plenty of laughter, plenty of light, that kind of thing. Good feelings, good intentions, which plays into our next story. So it's finally time to talk about the haunted house. Dan, why don't you start?
So when Justin and I moved into this house, this townhouse, our landlord was this nice older lady, except she worked through an agent who was a very not nice lady. And it's move-in day. and we're signing the lease, doing a walk about the house. And I think Justin, like, sort of like half serious, but sort of half offhandedly kind of questions. So, did anybody die here? And our landlord goes, well, and then as soon as she starts to talk, the agent goes, she doesn't have to answer that. Legally speaking, she doesn't have to answer that.
We talked about that in our first fucking episode.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
And Justin and I were like, oh, okay. Well,
but by that point in time, we were both, fresh out of school. We're just thrilled with getting our own spot. So,
yeah, I didn't really think much of it. I mean, aside from like a haha story later or something, it wasn't until later stuff that happened that I was like, oh, wait a second. We were warned.
Oh, no.
So I'll take you guys through kind of incident number 1. So the way that our house worked, it had 3 floors to it. There was a basement, a middle floor, and an upstairs. Upstairs had the 2 bedrooms, and my bedroom was connected to the 1 bathroom / shower in the house. So, it was kind of a deal where I had my shower door locked unless I was going into it, in which case I would obviously open it up and lock the other side. Whenever I took a shower, my walls would do kind of like the whole, like, the wall is bleeding, quote unquote, effect, where my walls would literally, like, red droplets would come out of my walls.
Bruh.
Yeah.
And
bruh.
I looked it up, and people were like, this can happen, from like a layer of paint.
It can.
And I was like, that's odd because the wall is white. But I was like, all right, forget it, whatever. Like, these things happen, I guess. So I tried not to pay too much attention to it. But that was part 1. Dan, why don't you go ahead and tell us part 2?
It took a while to get here. I mean, maybe 9 months or a year or something. The first bit wasn't too much. So we're sitting there playing PlayStation, or I think we were had played PlayStation, watched Netflix, something, and we were done. And then all of a sudden, the controller starts doing shit, scrolling all the way to the right or something. And we were like, oh, that's weird, but I guess the controller is fucking up or something. So we turn off the controller. And then a couple minutes later, controller turns itself back on. And we were like, well, that's weird as fuck. So we turn it off again. A couple minutes later, it turns on. And at this point, we turned the whole PlayStation off. It was all off. And the controller turns itself back on, turns on the PlayStation.
What?
Scrolls. It scrolls over to Netflix. It opens Netflix. And then it starts watching something. I don't remember what it was watching.
I don't remember either.
But that's a combination of buttons. That's not just the right stick is stuck in some position or something.
Noise. I see why you guys didn't want me using that controller.
Yep. So it was a red controller. And we were like, nope, fuck this. So we turned it off. We wrapped it in tinfoil and then threw it on a fucking bookshelf.
Did. I walked in and was like, why the fuck do you have a controller wrapped in tinfoil?
Yep. And it stayed that way for a year or more. We just had it in tinfoil. And it never turned on again after that. So I guess tinfoil works.
Shit.
That alone should have been a sign right then and there. But we also had some kind of outside interference. Dan, talk about that shit real quick.
Yeah, our immediate neighbors in the townhouse connected to us were kind of fucking weird. There was a family of them, and I guess they were nice enough, but we would routinely hear them, probably once every couple of weeks, hear them literally chanting and banging on drums and just chanting. And it was the first time we were laughing about it, but then again, as all these hauntings started, we were like, bro, what the fuck are they doing?
I would chant
what
louder.
What is going on? Yeah, that was some weird shit. So I don't know if they were causing it or I don't know what, but yeah, that was kind of weird.
I have a hypothesis about this that I'll say at the end of this.
Okay. So I take you now to what is probably one of the major things. So this is going to be in 2 parts. We're going to split it up here between myself and Dan's adventures real quick. So while Dan and I were in the same house, Dan had a job that was an hour or 2 away. So Dan would actually stay somewhere else while he was working. And how many days a week were you gone? Like 4?
Depending on the semester, it was either 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So Dan would be gone for like 3 or 4 days. And during those times, I would be in the house by myself. So on the weekends, right? Normally Dan would be there. Nico, you'd be there too most weekends, to be honest.
Right.
I was thankful for that because having people in the house seemed to stop it. Well, what is it, you might ask? On the days that Dan wasn't there and it would just be me, I have to say this first. I didn't have a bed back then. I know, mega poor moves. But like, I didn't have a bed back then. I would sleep on the floor. Now, not just on the fucking carpet. I'm not a savage. I would sleep on like a really nice, thick kind of, what would you call it, Dan?
I don't know. Sleeping pad? I don't know.
Yeah. It was actually great and it fixed my back too. But anyways, late at night, I'm talking around like 2 a.m. I could feel, not just hear.
Oh no.
I could feel footsteps. And they were so faint that you could ignore them, just drift away to sleep. But you could hear like a faint pulse. We lived in a smaller townhouse, so I could tell that, you can tell when someone's walking on the floor below you or, on the steps or where they're walking. It sounded like they were walking on the basement steps. The next day, I made sure to close the basement door, physically close the basement door, went to bed again, heard the footsteps again. The next night, I said, fuck this, locked the basement door because it locked from the upstairs. So you could like lock someone in the basement if you were really trying to troll them. So I locked the basement
Thank you
door.
for never doing that to me, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, so we locked that joint, right? Well, and I'll never forget this. I heard the footsteps louder that night. And when I came downstairs the next morning, the basement door was flung open.
Bruh.
Fuck that.
So keep in mind, all of this was happening, but I didn't want to tell Dan because I didn't want to like freak him out. I didn't want to scare him. I didn't want to think I was like losing my mind. So this happened for like a long time, not just like once or twice. Like it was a regular occurrence. I didn't sleep. Like I would stay up late as fuck. I would lock my bedroom doors. I would like eat my vegetables and say my prayers, like all that. Okay.
Just fucking chomping on some cabbage.
When Dan wasn't in the house, I would sleep with my lights on for like a solid like months and months and months. So the story gets deeper with the footsteps, but I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause. And Dan, why don't you tell them about the mouse incident?
Unbeknownst to me, while that footstep shit is going on, we ended up having a mouse in our house, mouse in the house. So we got some like mouse traps and stuff, and we got like this tray of mouse poison. And if you're not familiar with mouse poison, it comes in these little like, you could buy a box of like 2 or 3 trays of these like poisonous pellet kind of things. And you're supposed to put out like 1 tray, and that is supposed to be there for like a couple of months. That's a lot of poison, especially if you only have like 1 or 2, a couple little mice. If you have like an infestation, then might only last a few weeks or something. But so we put it in our basement and checked on it every day or so, and nothing happened. Like no poison left for like, I don't know, a week or something. And then all of a sudden, like the next day, we check it and it's all gone. It's like cleaned out.
5-0, no.
No poison in it left at all. It went from completely full to empty in one night. And again, a whole tray is supposed to last like a couple of months. So we're like, what the fuck? So we put out a second tray, and the next night, gone, completely gone.
Bruh.
And we're like, what the fuck is eating this? Because like, it's poison. I mean, if humans eat it, you're going to get fucked. Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, if a cat ate it, they would be fucked. Like, there's nothing around that could eat this.
It was me, y'all. I've been meaning to tell you for now.
No.
I'm playing with you.
I'm surprised you're still around.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I don't know what was going on with that. And then we also had a doorbell. And it was like a battery operated doorbell. But we never used it. And it would, like, we had it stuck on the wall, like outside of our house on the the outside of the house.
Not going to be on the inside.
No.
Not yet.
But yeah, not yet. So it would just keep like falling off periodically, and we never used it. So we're just like, fuck it. We just brought it inside and just never used it ever. And then like eventually the battery just like wore out. The battery was just dead. So it was just like sitting inside our house, like on the kitchen counter or something. And then one night I was away at my job, and Justin texted me and he goes, dude, the doorbell just rang. And I was like, okay. Like, and then it took me a minute. I was like, oh shit, our doorbell doesn't fucking work. And it's inside. Like,
Oh.
what? How did the doorbell ring? So I know that kind of freaked him out. And then maybe like a couple weeks later, our friend Gene was over, and it was just me and Gene in the house. We were in the basement working on some music stuff, and then the doorbell rang. And Gene was like, yo, your doorbell rang. You're going to go answer that? I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, dude, somebody's at your door. I was like, no, they're not. And he was like, nah, bro, your doorbell rang. I was like,
Just gaslighting
watch.
Gene.
So we walked upstairs, and I showed him the doorbell. Like, I was like, this is our doorbell. And I started mashing the button, and nothing happened. Because I think at that point we took the battery out too.
Yeah, we took it out because we didn't want it to be like fucking around.
Yeah. So there's no battery in it. And I'm like, it doesn't fucking work. And Gene was like thoroughly freaked out after that. And I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know what the fuck rang our doorbell, but our doorbell does not work.
Is it around that time, Dan, that I start talking to you about the footsteps?
Probably, yeah.
You never heard any of these footsteps, did you?
No, I never did.
Yeah, so as time went on, the footsteps kind of went up and up and up, right? So they went up from the basement steps to, I could clearly hear it prowling around in the living room area, which is right next to the basement. Then the kitchen, which is right next to the steps to go upstairs. Then I started hearing the footsteps go up the steps
Fuck that.
to where like I slept. And I remember one night I did like a test. So I closed the basement door and I did basically what's like a kind of like a charm or a prayer to prevent, you know, like I guess evil spirits or whatever from like harming you. I did that on the door, the basement door. It worked for like 2 nights. And then by the 3rd night, the basement door was open again.
Oh, shit.
I probably just like ran out of MP or something, but like
You should have like laid some salt on the ground.
No, I never tried that. I think this was above that.
Should have called
But, like,
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Should have fucking called Ed and Lorraine Warren.
They make it into every episode. But no, so the night that it all kind of culminated where I heard the footsteps like normal coming up. I heard them walk around the living room. I heard them walk around the kitchen. Now, remember what I told you guys. My bedroom had 2 doors. One was the door leading into the hallway. The second door was the door leading into the bathroom. I remember I heard it come up the steps. And then, for the first time ever, I heard it walking around the upstairs hallway.
Nope.
Co-signed.
I lock my room door immediately. I spring up and lock my room door. I hear it walk up to my door. And then I hear,
Fuck that.
Bruh.
and I fucking lose my shit. Like at this point in time, I'm like freaked the fuck out. Like my lights are on in my room. It doesn't make a lick of difference. I hear the pounding at my door. Then the pounding stops. And I hear the footsteps head into the bathroom towards my second door. I run over to the fucking door, lock it, and then I throw my suitcase in front of the door to like jam it up so like the door can't open because the door opens in from the bathroom. What the fuck? I just didn't sleep that night. I just stayed up all night.
Probably a good call.
And I was so thoroughly scared. So at this point in time, I'm telling Dan, and I think Dan's had 1 or 2 things more minor happen, and he's convinced too. He's convinced. And I mean, dude, just like small things would happen all the time in that house. There was like a hat that I used to wear, a hand knit hat that my sister made me, or my sister's friend made for me or something. And she and I went to go see a movie. I came back and put it on the couch. turned around, and my hat was gone. 2 months later, my hat shows back up on the couch, like on top of the couch, as if it had always been there. The final straw was in the basement. Dan and I, as we were, because we were like, we need to get the fuck out of this house.
Yeah, we were.
We saw drawings in the basement that hadn't been there before.
Bruh.
Like little kid drawings.
Yeah, like drawn on the wall.
Yes, like drawn on the wall. And they definitely hadn't been there before. Like everything else, yeah, but that was like right there. Dan and I both agreed, yep, fuck this, and we subsequently moved.
Yeah.
And I can straight up tell you, man, we moved out around, I want to say like February or so like
I
that.
think so, yeah.
I just remember when we were kind of like, all right, we're leaving now. I just remember that last little bit being like hell, bro. I was like, man, like, I got to get out of here, man. I got to get the fuck out of here. And I just remember when we moved into our new spot, like, I had never slept so soundly.
I fucking believe it for what it's worth.
It was incredible. Just the energy of that house was completely different. But I will say this, right? Like, how I got by in that kind of haunted house was friends. Like, having people over made it not happen.
That's my fucking theory. I think that I said it earlier, I think I'm fucking ghost proof, y'all. I think I am just a natural fucking repellent because they know I'm not about that fucking life. Like, whenever I was over there, ain't shit been going on. I slept in that basement more times than I can count. I was over there like a fucking lot. It really was like most weekends I would go up there and I would stay there. Like I would get there either Friday or Saturday and stay through like Sunday night, and ain't shit happening. So I am your paladin of the light,
That's
my
true.
friends.
I don't think anything happened when you were around.
No, nothing ever happened when Nico was around.
Hey, Nico, you want to move in together?
See, that's what I was about to ask. Do you think that any of this would have happened if I had actually moved in with you guys, if I had had the money to do that back then?
I honestly believe that you are one of those people. And I don't want to like, I honestly, in my heart kind of feel sometimes like it's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, shit.
Like it's what, I forget what stat it is. If you have 0 in it, like magic can't hurt you because you
That's
don't believe
me.
or some shit.
That's fucking me.
Isn't that
And I just
faith?
have like an AoE effect on that shit.
Yeah, I think it's faith or something like that. I don't know, bro. But like you, Nico, like I almost feel like you're one of those people who you're just not maybe a target. Or this is my truth and what I believe. Nico, I actually don't think it's you.
Oh?
I think it's Dan.
Oh, plot
What?
twist.
What?
I mean, shit happened
I
when I
think,
was there.
well, no, because keep in mind what I said before, that those types of things don't like laughter, fun, camaraderie.
Yeah,
that
but
kind
Dan
of
isn't
thing.
fun.
No, I don't laugh.
He never laughs.
I just think that when Dan was in the house, you know, he and I would like crack jokes. We'd be laughing, you know, like we'd
Play Rocket League.
you know, like we would like play Rocket League. You know, we'd like we had this like legendary infinity sauce. Next bonus episode coming up, infinity sauce recipe.
Recipes.
But like
Oh, okay.
we would just do a lot in the house. And, you know, that was back when like Gina and Elle used to come through all the time. Nico would be there all the time. I just think like the combined laughter and everything else like that really made it so those nights would be better. And I wouldn't be afraid on those nights where we'd all be in the house.
But shit still happened when Dan was there, though.
Not really. It was when I was by myself.
Well, you had the real shit, but I mean, I had like the poison.
Yeah.
Like
doorbell,
zero
Yeah.
shit happened. They were not fucking with me.
All right. Well, you know what, man? Let me tell you what. I think it could just be the combined result of like our powers combined, like Captain Planet. That's what I'm trying to say.
That sure. I'm just carrying the team, y'all. I'm just carrying the fucking team.
That is, ladies and gents, finally the haunted house story told in full, the way I would want to tell it.
The way you
There
did
are,
tell
of
it.
course,
It's the way you.
some more minor occurrences that happened, but those were the major ones. Though that was like really what like basically triggered us to like leave that house.
Would you have lived there if you had known all of that would have happened?
Fuck
No.
no.
Hell no.
Is that a question?
It wasn't an answer.
Listen, my current house Nope. I get none of that here, bro. It's okay here. And you know what the weirdest thing was? My mom, who's a very spiritual person, as soon as she walked into that house, she said she didn't like the feeling. And like this house and the house, and like where else we lived, she was like, she didn't mind it. It was cool. It was fine. But like that other house, nah, she said she didn't mess with it at all.
Yeah,
So,
stamp. It was definitely haunted.
yeah, that gets the X from us, bro. Like we can't, it's no making trips
Doesn't
back
get
there.
the golden seal of approval.
Nope.
No, bro. You need to throw the holy water of disregard on it or some shit. But like, I don't know, bro. But anyway,
That's my sweat. It's the holy water of disregard.
Nico's fetishes aside, that's the story.
Bruh.
That's the story, y'all, about the haunted house. But we want to hear from you guys. We want to know if you guys have any haunted stories. What's happened to you, So if you like what you've heard, if you want to tell us something, drop us a line. We're at DOTD Horror on Twitter and Instagram. Don't Open That Door on Facebook. That's been it from us here at Don't Open That Door. Ladies and gents, if you hear something go bump in the night,
Call Ed and Lorraine fucking Warren.
Yeah, that.
keep yourself safe. Be with friends, people who love you if you can. But when it all comes down to it, be like me, ladies and gents. Don't open that door. Have a great night.